I hope that this video reaches the hearts of people who are hurting and who can relate to someone taking their innocence in such violent and vile ways.
This is Blackgirlthought TV, honey.
Hi guys, welcome back to Blackgirlthought TV. I am Annie Kens, and this is your inclusive source of health, wealth, and loving yourself. Woo! We are continuing with the School of Love series, and if you have not been tuned in, you're missing all the good stuff, so that's nice. Go back and watch my other videos and get into the deep stuff with us because I ain't playing no games. Today's video, although I'm hella happy and hyper and cheerful, today's video is actually going to be me sharing a little bit of my abuse story with you guys. I completely understand that it's a vulnerable act on my part, but I'm completely willing to give of myself in this way in hopes that I help someone. So the next few videos will be dealing with abuse, and they go so well with the School of Love series, because for some of us, our love is really connected to the abuse that we've experienced. And for those who love us, the way in which we receive love really reflects what we've been through. So a little bit of my story. My first memory is of my abuse. I was 4 years old, and I remember this princess chair, and I actually wrote a piece on it for my undergrad work. And I'm not gonna go into kind of full detail because there will come a point in which I'm going to put it all down in a book. But I was 4, and I remember it was a male cousin that abused me, and he did it every chance he got. And I remember he always did it when there were a lot of people around, which is something I never really understood. And so he could come into a room and the entire family will be there, and then he'd take me into the kitchen and he'd do disgusting things to me. And like, he'd rub his genitals on my backside, and he'd just put saliva on his hand and kind of rub it up my backside. And he would say disgusting things to me, such as, you don't want me to get in trouble. You won't ever tell anyone, right? Because you don't want me to get in trouble. If you do this, I'll give you candy. There were times in which he would make me climb on top of him, and he would tell me to ride him like a big girl. And he would just make me grind on him, and this somehow was arousing to him. And it's interesting because every memory, there had to be more than 5 people around for every incident. And that part always baffles me, because where's the protection? Where is the vigilance? Like, it always baffles me when I think about how this was done in plain sight, how this was done when other people were in the next room laughing and they were having a good time, and I was having something done to me that I would have to recover from for years to come. So that's my first childhood memory. A great deal of my childhood memories are associated with the abuse. And when it comes to my memory, if you've been abused, then you would understand how repression works. Literally, our brain protects themselves against trauma, and our brains protect us from remembering these traumatic things oftentimes. So people who love me and who are close to me really sometimes just have to listen when I kind of have a flashback and something happens that I don't usually remember, or a memory comes up from the abuse that's like new, like, oh, well, okay, and I have to talk through it. But that's just how my memory works. So I have a difficult time remembering things that people just told me, like a name or address, or to do something, because my memory is just impaired due to the abuse. And that's something that I think a lot of people who haven't been abused don't understand. Abuse changes your brain chemistry. It changes the way you see everything. Janet Mock, if you guys know her, like, she's awesome. She wrote a book and she wrote about her abuse, and she said when he abused her, a door was open and it was never closed. And that's what it's like to be abused. Literally, you understand that there's a door that has been opened. You are no longer like everyone else around you. You are no longer a part of everyone. And I think that that was symbolic for me, for when he was touching me. He and I both were separate. We were both outliers. We were both outcasts, and everyone else was kind of having a good time and laughing. And for my cousins, they were enjoying childhood. But for me, I grew up in that moment. From the first time he took his disgusting hand and slid it on my backside, I was an adult. So when it comes to love, and when it comes to people who are in my life romantically, friendship-wise, relationships with family, it is important that I feel protected. It's important that I feel heard, because there was a point in which I didn't have a voice. There was a point in which I wasn't protected, in plain daylight. So he was the reason I started going to therapy at 13, but he wasn't the only reason. So I was abused by women as well. And the women were interesting because it didn't take much manipulation. And I'm certain, and I'm going to talk about that in my next video, about how we don't see women as predators oftentimes. And I am not intending to be kind of like gender binary, like man, woman, like male, female. I'm just making sure that we understand that anyone can be a predator. But in the realm of sexual abuse, we don't oftentimes look at the women. And I'm literally here to challenge our kind of existing ideas. And I'm here to really nip all of the misconceptions in the bud. Like, women can be predators. Women have abused me. So just the one significant woman that abused me, I was 13, I believe. I'm not sure. As I said, my memory is completely impaired. I don't remember much. I jumble up ages and times in my life, and it's better now. But I, like, from the ages of about 4 to maybe 15, 16, I can't really remember what happened at a specific age. So I'm gonna say 13. This woman lived down the street from me, and I hope that this video reaches the hearts of people who are hurting and who can relate to someone taking their innocence in such violent and vile ways. And I know I'm a new YouTuber, I know I'm new here, but I didn't come to play with you guys. I came to literally change lives. I came to literally make an impact and make a difference. And anyone who's been abused, understand. So when I was 13, this woman lived down the street from me, and could you have a paper towel, please? Most tissue right next to you. No, I'm trying to keep it by you. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it in my lap. Nah, this is big enough. But still. When I was 13, this woman lived down the street from us, and she I hate this concept of virginity, and I'll probably do a series on that, but because we don't really know what virginity is. Is it when you first have intercourse with someone with a penis, or is it when your hymen breaks, or is it when you first have any type of intercourse? We don't know what it is, but the typical concept of virginity. I lost my virginity through an act of molestation and abuse. And what happened was, she was someone that my mom trusted to look after me. And my mom wasn't going to find out. I wasn't going to tell. My dad found out, and my dad found out in a kind of a weird way. But she would touch me inappropriately, obviously, and she would do it often. She would do it as often as she could. And at the age of 13, 23, 24, she told me like I was her girlfriend, and we couldn't tell anyone that I was her girlfriend. So she kind of was able to make me do whatever she wanted and things like that. But the way I lost my virginity was to a 13-inch pink silicone dildo. And I remember it. She came home from work, I believe, and I was already waiting because I was like at her house often, because my mom just assumed that like she was cool and she wasn't actually molesting me. So she came and she touched me inappropriately. She performed oral sex on me, and then she put it in me, and I bled everywhere. The mattress was ruined. She broke my hymen, like I bled everywhere. And that was my first encounter with penetrative intercourse. After that, one day I was telling my friend about what was taking place, because when I say we don't think that women are predators or can be predators, and this goes into so many other realms, like when in the movies, when the woman slaps the man, we act like that's okay, but if he slaps her, then it's a problem. I am a feminist in my core, meaning I am for equality, meaning I'm gonna call you out on your crap, no matter what is hanging or stuck between your legs. I don't care, or what you identify as. Abuse is abuse, period. I do not care. So I was talking to my friend, and I was kind of like hyping it up, like, yeah, like we have a good time, and like she makes me feel good. Like, we have to kind of understand how we learned pleasure, because all of my associations with pleasure at this point was through abuse and through molestation. It wasn't on my terms. It was on the terms of people who were called to protect me, and they weren't protecting me. They were abusing me. They were taking advantage of my vulnerability. So that's something else that we kind of had to understand, ask ourselves, how did we learn what pleasure is? How did we learn what it means for something to make you feel good in a sexual manner, but also in a romantic manner? Like, that matters. And then we carry those acts out, because then after that, if I wouldn't have gone to therapy, I would have continuously been in relationships with people that had sex with me on their terms. I wouldn't have had a voice when it came to my sexual experiences. But I went to therapy and I got a voice. And that's why I'm here. So I was basically on the phone, and I was telling my friends about all this that was going on. And my dad was listening. And then he told my mom to come listen. And I didn't know they were listening. And my mom said, hang up the phone right now. And that's when it all came out. And my mom was so devastated. She was so devastated because I didn't tell her. But I didn't necessarily think that it was that bad. And it's because I was taught that women can't really be predators if it's not a man, if it's not someone kind of penetrating you all the time, hurting you, it can't be wrong, right? So those are the most two prominent memories of abuse that I have. And I share those because for those who have been abused, and there's a lot of us, for those who haven't told anyone, for those who have, no matter what, there are a lot of us. And if you are watching this, I understand completely. And within the next few videos, I will have like a special message for us survivors. Just some words of encouragement. But so this is important in the school of love because in order to understand how we see physical affection, emotional affection, love, desire, pleasure, all of these things go back to our first memories of desire, the first time we were touched and we liked it, the first time we were touched and we didn't like it. And it's different when the first time you're touched by another being in a sexual manner and you don't like it. That's very different than being touched and you do like it. It's very different than being touched and it's on your terms than being touched and it's not on your terms. Someone saying they'll give you candy as long as you don't tell. So I share that. There's a purpose, there's a method to my madness. I share that in hopes of telling and showing someone out there that you can tell your story in a brave way and it can be liberating and it can help people who've been through exactly what you've been through, right? So that's a bit of my abuse story. Eventually, as I said, I'm gonna write it all down and kind of just really get it out there. I have a few pieces written here and there, but that is what I would like to share. And that is going to lead us into the next video for the School of Love segment that will also deal with abuse. Thank you for joining me. I am so happy to be on your screen right now, and I hope to see you in the next